Hello and welcome to another manga spotlight. So this is Spy Family, and this was actually recommended to me from Atomic Beast, and I checked it out, and I read the first chapter, and I liked it so much that I actually binged read everything that's been released so far. To basically bottom line this, the series is basically about a little girl with psychic powers who gets adopted by a spy, is in a pretend marriage with an assassin. And we'll get into more details here as we go. So let's just get into it. So we start off with some shady people. Basically, we just saw this one person get killed, and we have these people talking about their best agents. So I guess in this world, there's two big countries that are having a war with each other. There's the Westalis and the Ostania. This kind of isn't really brought up all that much. Like the world outside of our main characters isn't really brought on too much, other than the fact that just there's a lot of like spy business going on and secret identities and all that kind of stuff. But basically, they're talking about like their greatest secret agents, their most skilled spy, and his name is Twilight. And Twilight is our main character. So we have these shady guys who basically want to get their hands on this picture of the Prime Minister of Foreign Affairs who wears a wig. And the reason that why they want to get this photo is because I guess in this culture, honor is a huge thing. Kind of like in real life, like Japan and stuff like that, honor is a huge thing. So if they have a photo of the prime minister lying about not having hair, he'll be forced to resign. So basically, they want to blackmail him out. So we see this spy shows up with photos and negatives of the prime minister with his wig askew, and he gives it to this shady guy who like disappears. And the spy turns a corner, and all of a sudden, the guy who he just handed the photos to appears, and he's like, "Now give me the negatives that you promised." He's like, "Wait a second. Oh crap! I've just been set up." And it turns out that the guy who he handed the photos to was actually our main character, Twilight, in disguise. And we're gonna see Twilight wearing a lot of disguises throughout this. So we have like a brief thing of him. It was an era when a cutthroat information war was unfolding behind the scenes all over the world. The man has survived on this battlefield through his mastery of 100 faces, and he really is a master of disguises in this. Throughout the series, we'll get a lot of chapters where he like disguises himself as different things to like get involved in undercover missions and stuff like that. I like this. So we got Cypher C then. So throughout this series, we're gonna get moments where someone will like say something to him weird. This guy right here, as he's walking away, he just says meow, and that means okay, your mission's on Cypher C. There's another one where he's like at a teller, and the clerk mentions like a certain food, and then he says, "Here's your change." And the reason why he does that is because like he opens up the coin, and inside is his next mission, and the food that he mentioned is the cipher to find out what his mission is. So we got a lot of cool stuff like that. I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool. So he has this new mission, and his new mission is that there's this guy who is his next target. He has to take him out to save world peace because this guy wants to basically start a war. He wants to kick off a war. But the thing is that this guy is a hermit. This guy never leaves his house. They don't even know where his house is. The only information that they know is that his son goes to this prestigious school, and the only time he ever shows his face is when he shows up for like meetings and stuff at the school, like whenever there's like parent teacher kind of stuff like that. That's the only time he shows up. So our main character has to basically get married and have a kid so that his kid can get into the school, gather information on on the guy's son, maybe get invited to his house, and then that way now Twilight will have the information about where this guy is hiding. So Twilight shows up at this orphanage, and I thought this was kind of funny. Twilight has like this whole like story about truth is my wife and I have been. And the guy's like, yeah, whatever, just pick whichever one you want, get the hell out of here. So he's like going through and looking at all the kids, and he asks for a kid who knows how to read and write. And the guy introduces him to our another main character, Anya. And the guy just wants to get rid of Anya. So he introduces Twilight to Anya. And he's like, he kind of takes a look at her. He's like, well, his academy starts at age 6. This girl looks 4, 5 at the most. And then she's like, 6. 6. So she like says that she's 6. He's like, well, I gotta take her height into account, and also like her intelligence. Like, can she actually make it? And then like she runs over to a newspaper and she starts doing the crossword puzzles. And the crossword puzzles are like really difficult. But the thing is with her is that she's actually a psychic. She can read minds. She read the fact that he's looking for a 6-year-old to say that she's age 6. So to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, she might not even be 6. She might actually be younger. So like for the crossword puzzle, he's basically like looking at it and he's in his head saying what all the answers are because he's like, oh, this crossword puzzle's too easy. It's gonna be hard for her, but I can get it easily. The answers are blah 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 blah. And he's like thinking this in his head, and she writes down all the answers, and he thinks that she's actually really intelligent, but in reality, she's just reading his mind. Anyway, he decides like oh, she's got to be a genius. She's definitely gonna pass the exam, no problem. So he decides to take her. So he's now adopted Anya. And yeah, this is pretty funny. So the girl was an Esper, known as Subject 007. She could read minds. Created by the experiments of mysterious organization, she later escaped their facility. So since she's moved from place to place, seeking shelter. Yeah, she was created by experiments. We don't really get too much. Other than this little brief moment right here, we don't really get too much of her backstory. We get like another thing where she wants to play. I guess like a flashback, and she wants to play, and the scientists are like, no, it's time to study. And studying is basically like undergoing tests, so she hates studying because of that. But other than that, we don't really get too much of her backstory in the first 15 chapters. But anyways, the funny thing is that she knows that Lloyd is a spy because she can read his mind, and she thinks that's super badass, and she really really wants to like please him so that he remains being her adopted father, because she thinks that as long as if this guy is her adopted dad, she's going to be going on these cool like adventures and stuff like that. This is going to play off a little bit later. So he introduces her to their new house, and she apparently is a huge fan of Spy Wars, which is like a running gag in this series where she basically watches this spy cartoon and she like takes things from that, and she kind of thinks that like what happens in the cartoons is what her new dad does. So I don't know, I thought it was kind of funny. So he decides to head out, and she like grabs onto his leg because she wants to go on an adventure. So they're going out and kind of walking around. In his head, he's thinking about how he has to blend in with his surroundings, right? He has to hold his new daughter's hand so that he looks more like a dad. But then he's thinking, well, if I hold her hand, that's one hand that I can't use to defend myself if someone were to attack me. Like if someone were to like run up on us, I can't like pull out a weapon because my hand is occupied holding on to Anya's hand. And she's like reading his thoughts, and she freaks out because she thinks that there's bad guys. So we have these moments where we have funny things like this where he's like, I just don't understand this creature. This is diplomacy. The first step to world peace is understanding the other party. Knowing about me is for world peace. I like peanuts. I hate carrots. And he says like, what? So we have things where like she's reading like people's minds, and she's like answering stuff that they're thinking, but it just sounds really random. Like right here, she just randomly says, I like peanuts and I hate carrots. And she's doing this because she thinks that, her new dad needs to know more about her for world peace. So she's telling him about herself. But to everyone else, it's just kind of like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you're just sprouting random stuff. And this becomes like a running joke throughout the series. And we just basically get stuff where Lloyd's trying to be a dad. Like, he's never been a father before. So he's trying to like, figure out how to be a dad. And he's just not getting it. And because of that, he's thinking, maybe he should go back and replace this girl with someone else who's a lot less weird. And she starts freaking out. She's like, no, don't throw me away. I'm a good bargain. So like we get like jokes like this, which I thought were kind of funny. Like I really like Anya. Anya is like a really interesting character. She's freaking adorable. I've said this in The Girl on the Other Side, where a lot of times childish characters and kids in fictional stories usually bug the hell out of me, because I just find them really, really annoying. But this series does a good job of making Anya very likable. Even when she gets into quote unquote trouble, you still kind of like, you don't find her annoying. Anyways, we have him. He's about to go out, and she wants to go out with him, and he's like, no. So it's kind of funny. Like he tries to leave, she's hiding behind there. He's like, I can see you. You're behind the stairs. You're up in the panel. So finally he like throws her back inside their house and he barricades the door so she can't escape. And of course, a little child by themselves, she gets bored, right? So she realizes that her dad's a spy. I mean, she already knows, but he has all his spy gear hidden inside this room, and the room is locked. But because she can read minds, she was able to read his mind when he was inputting the combination. So she gets inside, and I thought it's kind of funny. She finds like this secret communicator, and she starts messing around with it, and she sends a message to these bad guys, and the message is, "This is Twilight. Tag, you're it." And of course, to her, she's just playing a game, but to these guys, they think it's real, and they're like, "Trace the signal. We got to find Twilight. We got to capture him." So Twilight shows up back home, and he gets attacked. And being the badass spy he is, he's able to take out all these guys, right? And then we cut to Anya, and she's been kidnapped. They have no idea who this girl is, but they figure maybe they can use her as like a bargain, like a hostage or something. But of course, our spy dude shows up and basically just mops the floor with everybody, saves the day. It's a lot more action packed than that, but I'm kind of just skipping things. Otherwise, this like spotlight is going to be very, very long. I don't want to. Plus, I don't want to reveal everything. I'm just kind of gonna show the first two chapters, and that's kind of it. And even then, I'm going to be glossing over a lot of things. But he saves the day, goes back home, and now we start the next day where they're taking their exam. And him and Anya have been basically practicing a lot to nail this exam so that they can pass. Because if she fails this exam, she can't get into the school, which means that Lloyd's mission is a failure. Like he's not going to be able to succeed in what he needs to do. But luckily, she's able to pass. Unfortunately, though, he gets a message in the mail that Eden Academy has a 3-person interview. So passing the exam is the first step, but then the other step is you got to do basically like an interview. But the interview requires the child and both parents, no exception, which means that Lloyd now has to find a wife. Like he needs to find a mom. Um, so at first, he thinks about maybe using the like his information broker, like the guy who like basically gives him like all the information he needs to undertake his missions and stuff like that. But as you can see, that's a failure. So then we're introduced to Yor. I think that's how you pronounce it. Y-O-R. In the first few chapters, I believe they call her Yoru. But then later on, they the translators, because right now I'm reading a fan translated version. I believe this series has been officially licensed. I'm not sure. I have seen the like Viz pop up when I was Googling this series. So maybe Viz has officially translated it. If so, I will definitely be buying the series because I freaking love it like hell. And I really want to support, the author and all that stuff. But I haven't checked that yet at the time of this recording. I'll probably do that as soon as this recording's done. But anyways, her name is, I'm just going to call her Yor. In the first few chapters, she's called Yoru. So if you see Yoru pop up, it's the same person. It's just, I guess, the translators originally thought it was Yoru, but then later on, they found out it was officially Yor. So then they change it for like future chapters. But in the first few chapters, her name is just Yoru. Anyways, we're introduced to Yor. And Yor is kind of a ditz. She's kind of airheaded. Like, we have her like making coffee for their boss, and one of her coworkers is like, "Is that the chief's coffee? You want to put a booger in it?" And Yours is kind of, "Why does mucus make it taste better?" And everyone else thinks like that's kind of like a joke, but she's actually being serious. Like she reminds me a lot of oh my god, I forgot his name. The main character from and I forgot the name of the series. One of the first mangas that I reviewed, the one about the ghoul. It's like Kimono something. It's a great series, but she reminds me of that guy in that like basic human interactions seem to just go right over her head. Like she's like Drax in a sense. She's not she doesn't understand like sarcasm. She doesn't really understand jokes. She takes everything literally, which makes her freaking hilarious as a character. Anyways, she's invited to this party, and this girl who kind of has it out for her kind of teases her about, the fact that you're in your late 20s. Well, you're 27, but you're still single. You've never been with anybody. That seems very suspicious. This girl also kind of hints that her boyfriend is friends with yours brother, and maybe she'll tell her boyfriend to tell yours brother that Yor is still single. So all this kind of plays into Yor's fears, especially when her brother later calls her and says, do you need me to introduce you to someone? Yor's kind of like, I don't want to seem suspicious. I don't want to seem like my little brother needs to take care of me. So she lies and she says that she already has a boyfriend. And now she's in this dilemma where like, oh crap, I have this party that I have to go to. I already said I had a boyfriend, but I don't have anybody. So now I need to find a fake boyfriend by the time this party arrives. Before the party, she gets a job where she has to assassinate someone. So it turns out that her name is a Thorn Princess. That's her code name, and she's actually a really great assassin. She's like the best assassin in the world. And we see her actually just finished a contract killing. She's been doing this from like a really young age. And yeah, as you read this, you'll find out that Yor is freaking badass. She is like an idiot when it comes to social interactings, but when it comes to like fighting and killing and stuff like that, she is like the greatest ever. And we're gonna be finding a lot of funny moments where, I mean, if you can't tell already, she ends up being the mom for Anna. And we're gonna be getting a lot of moments where basically like we'll have people who like just kind of even just look at Anna the wrong way, and Yor just goes like psycho on them. And it's freaking hilarious. So, but anyways, she's washing the blood off her hands and stuff, and then she realizes, oh crap, my dress is ruined, and this is the only dress that I have, and I have a party that I have to get to, so I got to fix this dress. Meanwhile, Lloyd is in the same place that Yor's getting her dress fixed, because he's getting an outfit fitted for Anya for her to go to school. And this is how the two bump into each other. He kind of like stares at her, and he stares at her for longer than usual because this girl was able to basically sneak up on him without him even realizing it. And this is like the world's greatest spy. He's able to spot anyone that's like tailing him. He's able to notice when people are watching him. He's able to notice when people like are near him. But for some reason, this girl was able to sneak right up behind him, and he had no idea. And of course, it's because she's an assassin, so she's great at stealth. So he kind of stares at her a little bit longer, and she notices, and she kind of calls him out on it. And he just kind of tries to bluff his way out and says like, oh, it's just because like, I was taken away by your beauty. And she starts thinking like, oh, this guy finds me attractive. Maybe I can use him as my fake boyfriend to go to this party. But then she realizes that this guy has a daughter, and he's like, well, I can't ask him now because he probably has a wife. And I've heard stories about wives killing other women, basically cheating on their husbands, right? So she's basically about to just say, forget it. And that's when Anya reads her mind and realizes that this woman is a hitman. And she's like, wait, a hitman? Like, this will make things even more exciting. So I gotta get her to be my new mom. Because, I mean, just imagine, like, if my dad's a spy and my mom's a hitman, this is gonna be so cool. As you can see here, the girl was starved for entertainment. So Anya basically plays about, an act I thought was very cute, where she's like, oh, I'm so lonely without a mom. Yor asks, like, oh, like, is your wife not here? And then Lloyd makes this story about how his wife passed away 2 years ago. And Yor decides, okay, so since there's no woman in the picture, I'm going to ask this guy. And of course, Lloyd says yes, because he needs her. So they have a deal basically where he will pretend to be her boyfriend for this party. And in return, she will pretend to be his wife for the school interview. So Anya can get in. And we have a bunch of like crazy stuff happening. We have them going at the party. They leave the party, blah blah blah. They're getting attacked by these people because Lloyd does this spy mission before he arrives at the party, and some of the people survived, and now they're going after him. So we have like a bunch of cool action scenes. And in the middle of this, Yor asks, can we get married? He's like, what? And she's like, no, I mean, as an extension of your condition. You see, apparently an unmarried woman like myself draws suspicion. So as a kind of camouflage, what I'm saying is, instead of just the one time for the interview, would you mind if we stayed together? It works out for both of our benefit. Basically, she wants to marry him because it'll make her seem less suspicious, which means that it'll help her more when it comes to her assassination job. And Lloyd, of course, is like, if I'm married, it'll be less suspicious on me to be able to sneak into this school and find out where this guy is hiding. So they decide, you know what? Yeah, let's get married. And we have this cool moment where basically they do their vows as explosions are going off, and that's where I'm gonna end it. So that's basically just the first 2 chapters, and then from there it's just pretty much Lloyd trying to do his spy work, Yor trying to do her assassination work, and then Anya kind of caught in the middle between both of them. Neither one of them knows that what the other person is. Like, Yor thinks that Lloyd is a psychologist, and Lloyd thinks that Yor is just, a company woman. And of course, the only person who actually knows is Anya. She knows that both of her parents are actually a lot more shadier than they appear to be. And we just get this thing where we get a lot of miscommunication between characters. And Anya's the only one who knows, and she's trying to fix things, but she's a small little child. So she's trying to fix things in her way, that makes sense to her. So it's just, we just got a lot of crazy stuff going on. This is very much, I don't know, would I say this is a slice of life? I guess it's a slice of life if it's following 2 characters, one who's an assassin and the other one's a spy. I mean, we get a lot of adorable moments where they're actually being parents to Anya, because they actually end up being really good parents to her. So we get adorable moments of them being a family. But then we also get really cool action moments with, Lloyd doing his spy stuff and Anya doing her assassination stuff. And then we just get hilarious moments where it's almost like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, where Lloyd is trying to keep his spy work a secret from Yor, and Yor is trying to keep her assassination work a secret from Lloyd. For example, we have a moment where Yor is doing an assassination, and during her assassination work, as she's killing all these people, one person gets a lucky shot on her and basically shoots her in the ass with a bullet. And Yor obviously can't tell Lloyd, hey, I've been shot, because then he would ask, why were you getting shot? And then her secret will get ruined. So she's trying to hide the fact that her ass hurts because she's been shot. So, but Lloyd sees her as he mistakes her pain for anger, and he mistakes her anger at being angry at him. So he tries to please her by taking her out on dates, but she doesn't want to sit down because she was shot in the ass. So he takes her to a restaurant. He takes her to basically on a romantic boat ride, to an opera, movie theater, stuff like that. And the whole time she's standing up with this painful expression on her face because she can't sit down. And Lloyd just keeps thinking oh man, I'm really blowing this. No matter what I do, she's not happy with me. So we get moments like that. And then of course we get other moments where we find out the kind of work that her brother has. And I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say that just throws another wrench into everything that this family is trying to do. But yeah, I highly recommend reading this. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me what you guys think. If you guys have any recommendations, let me know. And again, I'll try to, check them out and stuff like that. Please subscribe if you guys haven't already. Hit the bell for notification. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Feel free to comment down below about pretty much anything. I also have a BitChute, and if you guys are watching this on BitChute, please subscribe, like, comment. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.